All right, I'm going to try to make this work. I'm usually better with other software, but tonight we're going to try to put text onto an existing design. So I'm going to go over to Photopea, photopea.com. And when you open it, it's going to look a lot like this. You may get a pop-up that asks you, is it okay for us to load a file? Is it okay to save a file? Is it okay to access your fonts? Just say yes. It's a very trusted website. Scout's Honor. It's good stuff. So just anything that pops up like that, say yes. So I'm going to go to New Project here in the center. And I'm going to choose my paper size. So I want to go to these templates here. You're going to ignore all these. These are fun, if you're doing something like a flyer or something. But over here on the left-hand side, we've got the print tab. I'm going to print, and I print on 8.5 by 11. So I'm going to click that. The top, I'm going to just verify by changing my units to inches. So we've got 8.5 by 11, which is good. 300 DPI, which is nice at this size. Will be nice quality. If you blow it up a little bit, it'd be fine. Don't blow it up too much at 300 DPI. You would want to, with a very big design, set your design to such. But for 8.5 by 11, this is beautiful. So I'm going to click these little arrows here to swap those two and make a landscape for this particular design. You don't have to do that, depending on what you're doing. But, a lot of us do tumblers and do wider designs. So just for this one, I'm going to do the landscape. So I'm going to hit create. And so we've got our 8.5 by 11 piece of paper here. So now this first thing I want to have you do is this is the move tool, the very first tool here, and it's indicated it's selected by, there's a copy of it there. If I would click the marquee tool, the marquee tool shows up, and this menu will change depending on what you've got selected. So but with the move tool selected, I want you to click on this box. This says transform controls. I'll show you what that does in a second, but you need to have that on. It helps a lot with the rest of this. So now I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go to Open and Place, and I'm going to point this to my file. So if it's a Tumblr file or whatever it is, wherever you've downloaded it, so in your downloads, say, and then I've got this monogram that I picked up just for this example and create a Fabrica, and I'm going to use the PNG version. It's got no background and it's good for print. So let's let it show up here. Takes a second with this. It looks like it has shown up, but it's gone underneath the background. So in the layer panel, I just need to drag it up above. So if it didn't do that, you can just click somewhere over here, or there was a check marks at the top. You can say okay, whatever, but just click over here somewhere. So now I've got this. So you can see roughly how big it is on a piece of paper. But we want to be sure. So over by the layers panel on the right hand side, you'll follow up this little bar in between, and there's these little sliders like stereo controls. This is our properties. When you click that, you can see that this is selected because it has, not only is in the layers panel is highlighted, you see how it changes color there, but also these transform controls are on here. That's what I meant by this box here. If they're not on, you can still move this around, but you can't size it unless you go up to edit and transform. And plus it's just nice to see visually that what is selected. When you start getting a few things on the screen, it's nice to know which one it is that you've got. So with this monogram selected, we can see over here in this properties panel, the little stereo controls, that our monogram is 5.31 inches wide by 2.67 high. So that's, depending on what you're using it for, that might be what you want it for. But say we want to make it a little bigger, maybe in the center of a shirt, say about 8 inches or something like that. So I'm going to keep the aspect ratio locked, and what that means is that when I make this 8 inches, it's going to add about 3 inches to the width. I want it to also do the same thing to the height, because if it does not, it's going to end up stretched. So aspect ratio is keeping that relationship between the width and the height. Now sometimes you might not want that on, you want to stretch things out, but for this we need to keep that locked, and it should be on by default. And I'm just going to change my width to 8 inches. So I'll hit 8 and enter. And when I click out of there, it just kind of pops into size. So now when I click it and I look at my properties panel, it's now 8 inches by 4 inches, roughly. So there we go. That part is done. Now we need some text. So what we're going to do is go over here below our move tool, about 3/4 of the way down, all past these tools that you'll learn about if you want to, is this big T. That's the type tool. Okay, now I told you the menu up here is going to change. Now it is changed. You see the T's up here, that means the type tool is selected. This next box is our font. If you want to use local fonts, by default this will be off. You're going to need to click. There's a lot of fonts on here without it, but if you want to use yours that you've downloaded from DaFont or from Creative Fabrica or wherever you get your fonts, click on this. Like I said, it's probably going to ask you, is that okay? You say yes. And then you've got your fonts. You can search for them, you know, by brush, whatever, and you've got all the ones that have brush in them are there. If I clear these, if there's one that you like in particular, you're like, oh, you know, this one's pretty, you can click this little star here and it'll save it as a favorite. And then whenever you come back in here and later on, you can go and hit this little star at the top next to the search bar, and it'll just bring up your favorite fonts. So I use Impact when I want to show people things just because it reads well. So I've got that set. The next one is regular. That'll be where it's bold or italic or something. This one just has the regular font size. Now when you're typing a letter, you're going to be like 14 pixels. So we want to go way bigger than that. You can click this little arrow here and when drag, 150 is as much as it'll let you go up to, but you can type in anything you want to. So I'm going to type in like 250. Might be a little big, but at least we'll be able to see it. The next box is color. Color is pretty self-explanatory. You can pick from some sort of primary colors down here. You can slide up and down and find, you know, these colors. You know, later on you can get into building your swatches and blah 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 blah. But a cool thing to do is, say with this image, you can pick one of these colors by just go out here in the image somewhere and click your mouse and hold down, and you'll see as I drag along the color changes over there. And so this has got a lot of this blue in it, but how about we put a little bit of this tealish green in here. Maybe this one I like it a little better. So boom, hit OK. Color set. That's pretty much all you need to worry about. Warp tool. Justification you'll need if you're going to do multiple lines of text, and you know, in a regular word processor, justify left. So when you hit enter, do the words start on the left? Do they start in the center, which is the center one, or do they justify to the right? If you have something on the right side of the page, maybe you want all the words to be stuck over there, left or center. You know, I do a lot of my designing in center, but when you're doing one word like this, it doesn't matter. But just so you know what those do. Warp tool, you guys play with that when you get a chance. It's very popular now with those bubble letters, with the wave and the flag look and stuff. It's very good in here, and it's pretty self-explanatory. It give you little previews of pictures of what it's doing to your text before you do it. So now we have our text tool selected. We've selected our font. We've got the size. We've got the color. All we have to do is go down in the canvas somewhere and click. And it says that my font has been loaded. I'm going to set my caps lock to on and type in Wilson for the last name. Okay. Now that's all I wanted to do. So I'm going to go back up to my move tool on the top left and just drag this little puppy over here. So you'll see that the little red sort of line shows up. It's trying to snap. I'm going to zoom in, and by doing that, I'm going to hold down the Alt key and roll my mouse wheel forward to zoom in, and backwards to out. So Alt key and mouse wheel. If you don't have a mouse wheel, you can use this zoom tool at the bottom of the tool panel on the left-hand side, and that will click. You can zoom in, and up here at the top, you can hit the minus, or you can hold down the Alt key, and that does the opposite. Let go of the Alt key, zoom back in. So, but get a mouse wheel. It's a little easier. So back to the move tool. If you want to move around the canvas, hold down the spacebar, you'll get this hand tool, and you can grab the canvas and shake it around like your neighbor's baby. I don't know why I said that. But so now we've got this sort of roughly in the center, but we'll get to that in a second. So I've zoomed in a little bit. I'm going to try to make this bigger, but what happens is the aspect ratio is locked, like we said, and so when I drag it to make it wider, it's also getting taller. Now I don't want that, so I can either click off this aspect ratio, but what I'm going to do instead, so to sort of temporarily disable that, I'm going to hold down the shift key while I drag one of these blocks, and that's going to let me drag the width and height individually. So I'm just going to get to a place where I think it looks okay. You know, maybe this is stretched a little bit too much. Maybe you want a different font. But anyways, we've got it sort of ish where we want it. But I don't know, you know, this is centering on the page or is it centering on this? What I'm going to do to make sure that these two are centered with each other, over in the layers panel, again, I'm going to select the text. I'm going to hold down the control key and I'm going to select the monogram. Now at the top, you're going to have these. These are your aligned edges. Now do I want to align to the left? And that's what it did. It took the Wilson and put these lined up with their left hand side. You can align to the right, or you can align to the center, and that's what we want to do here. This is vertical centers, tops and bottoms, so it's pretty much the same thing. You know, top, bottom, or you don't want here in the center because it's going to look daft, because it's the center of this up and down, and the center of this up and down. So there. Anyways, you want that in this case. So I'm going to undo that by holding down Control and hit Z. This is a very important key. Control Z as in zebra, because if you mess something up, and you're going to do that, I do it all the time. Hit Control and hit Z, and you go right back where you were. You can hit it again, and then go back one more step. If you find it not working in Photopea, it can be a little funny sometimes because your browser also has shortcuts, and they can take over sometimes. Not a big deal. If you find it not doing anything or trying to switch windows on you or something, just go up to Edit, and you've got your undo control here. Step backward, step forward, that kind of thing. But yeah, just remember that that's there in case it starts acting funny on you. But anyways, we've got these two. I'm going to lock them together so that when I move them, you know, if you need to move this around on another image, or maybe you want to add another monogram, and you can do that. You can just go and open and place, and you can put another copy of that exact same one on here, and say you needed to do one for Williams or whatever. This one ended up behind the background again, so I'm going to drag it again above, and now we've got two of those. So I don't want that here, so I'm going to, with that one highlighted, I'm just going to hit my delete key on my keyboard. But you see what I mean. You can have multiple things on the, and you're going to want to start keeping things organized. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, on the layers panel, I'm going to have Wilson selected. I'm going to hold down the control key and click on the monogram, and so that means I've selected the two of them together like we did when we aligned them. But this time I'm going to go down to the bottom here. I can either hit Control G and make a folder, or a group rather, it's the same thing, or with them both selected I can hit the folder button down here at the bottom of the layers panel, and those two will zap together. And I can call this one Wilson, that way if I decided to do Williams I could tell the two apart. You can turn it on and off with the eyeball, or you can, with it selected, you can hit this lock, and then that way if you're working on Wilson or Williams separate, you won't accidentally move this around or screw anything up with this. So, but anyways, I'm gonna unlock it. Now, up here with this move tool, right now I want to have folder selected because I want to move everything together in that whole folder. If I were to have layer selected, then it would grab and mess up my centering and my placement and all that kind of stuff. So Control Z to get back to there, and go and set it to folder, just so you don't get frustrated, because it gets really frustrating when you've got your move tool selected and it's moving one and not the other, and that's the reason why. So do that. The only other way to, if you don't have them in a folder, you can select the two of them by selecting one, holding down Control, and moving them together. But that's just an extra step every single time you want to move them together. So let's just, for now, we'll keep it like this. And and then if somebody said, oh, it's not spelled Wilson, it's Ian or something like that, you can just go and click on Wilson here, go back to your type tool, and double click in here, and you'll get your cursor back up here, and you can go and change it or whatever. So anyways, just nothing set in stone until the end, until now. Okay, for some reason Photopea does not like to export fonts. It's not a big deal, but this is just an extra step you have to do. If you don't want to do this, buy Photoshop, but this is a small step. All you need to do is go select your text, right click on it, and just rasterize it. Okay, that's all you have to do. All that's doing, it's no longer editable as text, it's no longer shapes, it's no longer vectors, it is rasterized. And so it's just a workaround for now. If I find a solution, I will update you, but for now, I've just found problems. Whenever I've tried to do it, it will go to print, and Wilson will be gigantic, and it won't be where I put it. So that locks it in place. It's lovely. So now we're going to go, we say we're done. We're going to print, or we're going to save. We can go to File. We can export this as a PNG or a JPEG or an SVG, however you want to do it. If you're doing a print and cut, or whatever you're going to be doing, you can turn off the background to do a PNG. But if we're just going to print, we got a white background, who cares? And if you don't have a white background, chances are you're going to have something back there that you want to print, so the background will be covered up anyways. It's a case-by-case basis, but generally speaking, you can leave it on or turn it off, whatever makes you feel happy. A lot of people just they've been told so many times, no background, no background, no background. So yeah, this file is not going to have any artifacts or anything around it that you get from removing a background, because it never had one in the first place. So that's the beauty of doing your own design as well. So anyways, I'm going to leave it on just so we can see what's going on. I'm going to go to File. Saving as a PSD is a Photoshop file, and that is just going to be, it's going to save it in layers if you want to work on this later. Which is, a good thing if you're going to be doing a lot of monograms with the letter W, because then you can just save it like this. And I would have saved it before I rasterized that text, or make a copy of the text and turn it off. There's ways around this stuff you'll learn. Before I rasterized that, I could have made a copy by right-clicking and hitting Duplicate Layer, and then just turning that one off, working with the other one. But anyways, a little more advanced stuff. For now, rasterize your type. Let's get ready to print. I'm going to go to File, and just like any other program, I'm going to go to Print. Now, I use Print Manager with my Sawgrass. It mirrors for me, okay? So I don't need to mirror my design. If you need to mirror your design, you have one last step to do. So I'm going to exit out of Print, and let me show those of us who don't mirror in our print dialog right before it goes to the, right after the printer. You can go and select your folder here, and what you'll do is go up to Edit, go down to Transform, and you want to go to Flip Horizontally. And there you go. The whole thing is backwards. Just make sure that you got everything selected, because I'm going to do Control Z. And it's acting weird. Okay. If you just have Wilson selected and you were to go to Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontally. Now it's really not that easy to, harder to tell in this because it's a W, but if it were an R or a P or something, you'd be in deep doo-doo, because this would be flipped and the other one wouldn't. Hopefully you would catch it, but stranger things have happened and you don't. So anyways, again, why you want to have this folder selected here, just so that you've got the whole thing, and just verify over here in your layers panel that you've got this, everything selected, and then we can do like I just said, go to edit, transform, and flip horizontally. In my case, I don't need to do that, but that's what you would do. And then when you go to print, you're going to see this little preview here. You know, you can double check again your 8.5 by 11. Now this would just save it to a PDF. We don't want to do that, right? We want to print. Unless you want to save this to a PDF. I don't know why. But there's another icon here. This has got just, none of this stuff applies to us right now because we don't want to do fit to page. It's going to mess with everything. We don't want to rotate because we set it up in landscape already, and we don't need to download anything like that. We're going to go print. So print, and then you're going to get your dialog like you normally get. I'm going to send mine to Print Manager by hitting print. But other than that, I mean, it's really nothing else going on here. Just if you multiple pages, copies, none of that. It's color. You know, all this stuff should be pretty. You don't want to scale anything. You want to keep your DPI at the same DPI that you were working in. All this kind of stuff. None of this should have changed. So really just you know, you can use your system dialog, but I use Print Manager, so that's my version of the dialog. And so then you come in here, you can see that I've got it mirrors it for me. That's usually selected by, and then boom, I just hit print, and that'll be true to size. Nothing else to worry about. So the other, I guess we could take one more example. What I can do here, we'll do it without doing a new. I'm gonna close this. When you exit out of a project, it'll ask you, do you really want to leave? Yes. This I'm going to open from a computer, and I'll try to make this shorter. Let's see. I want to go to. What do I want to go to? Web store. I'll go to my design assets, and I will go to tumblers. I really got to clean this out. And I like this one, so we'll go with autumn. So now this is a file that I have downloaded from Creative Fabrica somewhere. I think I've edited this one to give it no seams. No, not yet. But anyways, we've got this typical Tumblr here. So again, what I'm going to do is this just open up as the background. There's no white background on this because you know, we opened it from this PSD that we've downloaded. What I'm going to do is go to properties like we did before with this selected, and this is 9.3 by 8.2. That's pretty standard, you know. I like mine to be 9.363 or 9.35 depending on what I'm using, what brand I'm using. So what I'm going to do is go up here to image, and I'm going to change this image size. I'm going to again select inches. Now here is where I want to turn off the aspect ratio because I'm going to be changing this number, the width, without changing the height. Now, you know, it's going to distort the image ever so slightly, but not enough to really care. You know, not that you're going to notice that much. So 9.35 by 8.2, and then resample, yes, DPI is fine, hit OK, and it just squeezed it out ever so much. You almost didn't notice it, but now my image is 9.35 by 8.2. So if you are opening a any kind of template that you buy from anybody, it doesn't matter if you've used them before, anything like that, go up to image. And resize it to your size. You know, verify it by going to this properties panel and looking at the size. And if it is not what you're looking for, then make sure that you go up here to image and change your image size to what you're looking for. And then here, if you wanted to add some text onto this, then you would again go to your text tool This time I'm going to make my color like this, purple down here. It's probably not going to show up very well, but who cares? And I'm going to go to my text tool. I'm going to make it way bigger because 20 is not even going to show up on the screen. I'm going to say 450. I want that. And you can say fall is here. Dot dot dot. Whatever those are called. Ellipses. Is that what it is? I forget. Okay, that doesn't show up that great, but we got one more trick up our sleeve. What we'll do, I'm going to text and just show you guys real fast. With this warp tool, you'll go here with your when your text is selected, and you go back to the type tool. You can go to this warp, and then you're going to pick by clicking this little box here. It's going to open up the different types that it's got. And if you go to arc, you see what that did. It's almost got a little picture of what it's going to do. You'll see this flag, you know, that's real popular, you know. So let's say we like this one. We're going to say, all right, that looks pretty good. And we're going to go, and what we can do now, instead of doing that all over again, I'm going to go right click my text tool, and I'm going to duplicate that layer. And now there's two of them. It says there's a copy. And I'm going to take this one and drag it down underneath. And then I'm going to go to the text tool and double click, triple click. There we go, triple click, and go time to play. Okay. And then I'm going to go and select this one and this one by holding down Control and selecting the other, and go up to my tool here to center them horizontally. And you know, say I like that. And I'm going to go down with both of them still selected. I'm going to go to new folder, and now I've got those. Now let's try something a little crazy. With them, those two selected, I'm going to go to layer, and I'm going to go to layer style, and I'm going to make a stroke. And by doing that, I'm going to take a color like a nice, just a white or something like that. You can make it any color you want to. Maybe this little blue down here would be nice. And then what I'm going to do is make the size of that stroke a little bigger. Okay, so you know, that's not the best design in the world, but you know, you can take it down here and you can scale it or something like that, make it a little bit smaller, make it say whatever you want to say. And then we everything looks good, you know, we like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the background and the foreground, that folder and the background, I'm going to go and just make that a folder within a folder. It's fine, you can do whatever you want to, you can organize things like that. And then I will go to, if I need, you know, if I'm an Epson person who doesn't have the, I don't know what you guys do. I know that some people say that they don't know how to flip their image to mirror their image. So again, you would go to edit, transform, flip horizontally, just like that. And that flipped everything because they were in the same folder together. And then we can go again, just like we did before. And we go to print. And we're just going to verify that we are 9.35 by 8.2. Yep, that looks good. And we're going to go print, and we'll get a nice print preview. And I've got my Sawgrass Print Manager selected. And if it's acting right tonight, it will open up, and you'll see that I need to uncheck mirror because I mirrored it over there, but you'll see that it's you know, nice and lined up where it ought to be. So, real fast, it's not lined up where it needed to be. I just noticed that it's off, and you know why it's off? Because I forgot a step. And what step was that? That was going to my text, right-clicking on it, and rasterizing it. Don't know what's up with you, Photopea, but now when I go to File, Print, Yeah, there we go. My eyes are getting tired, I suppose. I'm just getting old. Double checking here. Everything looks good. Turn the mirror off. There we go. I guess that's okay. Layout, preserve layout from designer. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not getting a great view of it here, but that's what we're working with. Just double check my. I gotta print. Yeah, that's fine. I don't know what's going on with me. It looks like it's it does look like it's not centered where I want it to be. Oh, I got this margin added. That's what it was. I don't know what in the world that was about. Again, that's some, probably somebody else's file that I downloaded. And double check everything, kids. That's me not looking. So I'm gonna print. And this is how we learn. Like I said, I don't use this software very often, so I'm doing it to try to teach you guys how to do something for free. And now we're good to go. Now it's not cut off right there. So I don't know where that came from, that margin there. Maybe when I was dragging things around showing you guys, but just, you don't want margins. You want to check your size, and then when you go to print, you want to check that, that you got your paper size set and that kind of thing, here. And just your DPI. It doesn't hurt to look over things. I get into a bad habit of clicking through, click, yeah, I just did this. And you see what happened is that I'm thinking everything's cool, and it's not. It gets over there, and there's that margin is goofed up. So yeah, there we go. That's pretty much how to put text on a thing. And I showed you a little wave as a bonus, I suppose. Hopefully this helped you guys. This was my third attempt at doing this. I kept messing things up along the way, like I just did, but we rolled with it and we got there in the end, I think. So you guys have a good night. I'm out. Let me know if you have any questions.